Hey, folks, welcome to Shooting Up North. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin. We're heard right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Thank you so much for joining me today. 2021 is coming to an end. It was a big year for Impact Wrestling. Had some ups, had some downs, but 2022 right around the corner. And there's a lot of free agents out there that I think would be assets to Impact Wrestling, and they should, in my opinion, consider signing some of the names that I have down here. So I'm going to run down my list of free agents, independent wrestlers, women tag teams that I feel Impact Wrestling should be considering signing in 2022. First and foremost, I think they need to bring Buddy Matthews in. Okay, that's the name. That's the name that's at the top of my list. Buddy Matthews. He's really reinvented himself since he was released from the WWE, and he has a star written all over him. He has superstar written all over him. And Impact Wrestling. I know it was rumored that they were bringing him in, that he signed a contract and he was going to make a debut. That unfortunately hasn't happened. But do what they can. Bring in Buddy Matthews. Finally, he appeared on a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. I believe it was only one show against Kazuchika Okada, which was a great match. He's appeared on a few independent shows as well. But it's time. It's time to bring in Buddy Matthews. AEW, not interested, apparently, from what I've been reading. So this is a golden opportunity for Impact Wrestling to bring in Buddy Matthews. I don't know what the holdup is here. I'm sure Impact Wrestling is interested in Buddy Matthews. Maybe they can't agree on money, or they can't agree on a contract. But I don't know. I can only speculate. But I think Impact Wrestling needs to do what they need to do to finally bring in Buddy Matthews to Impact Wrestling. So I think that's the guy that's at the top of my list. That should be at the top of the list of Impact Wrestling as well. So do what they got to do to bring in Buddy Matthews. On the independent scene, there's one guy out there that I think Impact Wrestling should definitely make a play for before AEW sinks their claws into him, so to speak. Kevin Blackwood. Kevin Blackwood, tremendous young talent on the indie scene right now. He would perform up here. He would wrestle up here in Canada for Smash Wrestling. I would go to the shows. You know, he always had great potential, but he has really become just a tremendous talent over the years. Just watch the match, Limitless Wrestling, him against Jake something, and what a match it was, man. Just a tremendous match. So Impact Wrestling really should be looking at Kevin Blackwood to bring him in. He's part of the Buffalo Brothers. Kevin Blackwood was involved in a horrific accident not too long ago, where he was out of action for a while. Daniel Garcia, also one of the Buffalo Brothers, was involved in that accident, but thankfully both of them have mended. They're back 100%, and they're just at the top of their game right now. Daniel Garcia, of course, with All Elite Wrestling and Impact Wrestling, they definitely should be looking at Kevin Blackwood. Even West Coast Pro Wrestling as well. You can see Kevin Blackwood there as well. Just and all over, he's all over on the indie scene in the States, and he's just absolutely killing it right now. And Impact Wrestling, he would just be an absolute asset to the X division. He could come in and right away and have a tremendous match with Trey Miguel. I think he's had a match or two with Trey Miguel in the past, but he could come in right away and have tremendous matches with Trey Miguel. Speedball Mike Bailey. Actually, Kevin Blackwood just took on Speedball Mike Bailey about 2 months ago for C4 Wrestling in Ottawa, Ontario. Kevin Blackwood, Speedball Mike Bailey could have a terrific match as well. They definitely, they're bringing in a lot of indie stars now with Masha Slamovich, Lady Frost, Speedball Mike Bailey. Kevin Blackwood should definitely be on the top of their list in terms of indie talent they're looking at. And they should really make a strong play to bring Kevin Blackwood in to Impact Wrestling. Another guy in the indie scene right now he was 49th on the PWI Top 500, and he's currently the West Coast Wrestling champion. I'm talking about AJ Gray. AJ Gray, just just another fantastic talent. Again, 49th on the PWI Top 500. So he was the highest ranked person that's not signed on that list, talent on that list that's not signed to a major promotion. And it's a travesty that AJ Gray's not signed to a major promotion. And Impact Wrestling should really consider bringing him in as well, because he's just another tremendous talent. Just a fantastic talent. You could see him if you have IWTV. Watch West Coast Pro. He's the champion there. He's had some tremendous matches there as well. But great talent, AJ Gray. So that's another indie guy that Impact Wrestling definitely should have their eyes on. Also, there's another guy that's on the indie scene that's just he's got great potential. He's got terrific potential. There's just something about this guy. I don't know. And I'm talking about Titus Alexander. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Titus Alexander. Also wrestling for West Coast Pro and other independent promotions. He's from the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken. But there's something about him. I just there's something about Titus Alexander. You could just see potential star in the making with Titus Alexander. He's very young. I don't know. I think he might have been wrestling for maybe 2-3 years. If I could be wrong there, but he has really a tremendous talent. If they could do like another gut check, or have like have a developmental promotion, if they could get another developmental promotion, which would be very well, maybe they can make OV. I don't know if OVW is really there. They don't have an official developmental, but they should think about getting a developmental, because there's a lot of really talented young wrestlers out there that could really benefit. And Titus Alexander will be at the top of that list there, in my opinion. Check him out. If you're not familiar with Titus Alexander, definitely check him out. Look him up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find some matches, but there's just something about him. There's something about him. I think Impact Wrestling should strike while the iron is hot. You know what I mean? Like MLW. MLW will see someone like Titus Alexander and bring them in immediately, because they see the potential, and they give them the start. They give the talent a chance to grow. And Impact Wrestling should start doing that as well. Just if they see someone like Titus Alexander, they could see the potential. Maybe, like I said, send him to OVW. Let him develop and become the star that I think he could become. Like I said, there's just something about him. There's something about Titus Alexander. So that's another guy that Impact Wrestling could possibly be looking at, or should be looking at, in my opinion. Then you got other WWE releases recently. Alex Zane and Blake Christian. I think they would be great fits for Impact Wrestling as well. Blake Christian, Impact Wrestling fans are familiar with Blake Christian. He's had a number of matches for Impact Wrestling in the past. He was actually rumored to be going to Impact Wrestling before the WWE jumped in and signed him to NXT. He had a cup of coffee with NXT, and then he was released. And I think his name was Trey Baxter, but he's back to being Blake Christian and Impact Wrestling. Actually, he tweeted out that he wants a match with Trey Miguel and another Impact star. I can't remember, but he did tweet out that he wants some matches with some Impact Wrestling stars. So Blake Christian will be another great signing. Sign up to a 3-year deal. Impact Wrestling will be a great addition. Also, Alex Zane as well. Alex Zane also had his cup of coffee with NXT before they released him, and I think it was Ari Sterling was his name in NXT, but he's a free agent again, and he'll be another great addition to Impact Wrestling as well. So Blake Christian, Alex Zane will be great additions. There's another guy out there that was released from the WWE that I don't hear much about. Oni Lorcan, going as Biff Busick on the indie scene. Great talent, great talent, hard-hitting, great talent. Him and Josh Alexander would have just a tremendous match. And that's another guy that if I was Impact Wrestling, I'd be considering as well. And I know people are thinking, well, how come you're not saying Adam Scherr or what's it, Bray Wyatt? Because those are huge names, and I don't know. I kind of think if they were going to be in Impact Wrestling, they would have been there by now. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I know Bray Wyatt's rumored to go into AEW. Wants to stay away from wrestling. If they come in, they come in. That's great. I mean, if Impact Wrestling could work something out with either Adam Scher or Bray Wyatt, that'd be great. But I don't. I think Impact Wrestling has they've exhausted their time trying to bring them in my opinion. I think they tried hard to bring them in. It didn't work. So I think it's time for Impact Wrestling to move on to looking at other talents that could come in and really be great assets to Impact Wrestling. So that's why I kind of left them off the list. There are two other names, actually three other names. I'm going to say Shane Strickland, another former WWE NXT star. Shane Strickland would be a tremendous talent in Impact Wrestling as well, if they're able to get Shane Strickland. But I kind of think Tony Khan is got his eyes on Shane Strickland, and Shane Strickland formerly with MLW. So I think Shane Strickland would be a great fit for Impact Wrestling, but I don't know. It might be tough because there's a lot of interest in Shane Strickland in my opinion. But if they could somehow get Shane Strickland, that'd be a great get as well. And when you look up here in Canada, I know I mentioned Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince, great talent, belongs in a major promotion, and he's going to be in a major promotion very, very soon. I think Impact Wrestling needs to finally bring him on full time, sign him to a contract, get him a work visa if he needs a work visa. But bring in Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince, tremendous talent. He's had, I mean, remember that match with Jay Christ for the X Division Championship? That was just off the charts, fantastic. Very surprised that Aiden Prince is not part of the Impact Wrestling roster. And I really think Impact Wrestling should bring Aiden Prince in ASAP. And there's another guy up here. There's another guy in Canada, another great Canadian talent that I think would be a great fit for Impact Wrestling, especially the X Division. His name is Kobe Durst. I don't know if everyone listening is familiar with Kobe Durst, but Kobe Durst is just a fantastic talent. Before Josh Alexander was signed with Impact Wrestling, he had a series of matches with Josh Alexander and for Alpha One, and they were just brilliant match of the year candidates. Just fantastic matches. So Kobe Durst is another guy that Impact Wrestling should definitely be looking at. And of course we can't forget El Reverso. El Reverso, another great talent. Impact Wrestling fans are very familiar with El Reverso. He's made a number of appearances for Impact Wrestling. I just watched a match. El Reverso was in the Maritimes challenging the Kaizen Pro Wrestling champion Kobe Christ for the title, and what a tremendous match it was. El Reverso is just getting better and better. He's at the top of his game right now, and El Reverso would be a great fit for Impact Wrestling as well. So Aiden Prince, Kobe Durst, El Reverso, guys up here in Canada that should definitely be considered for Impact Wrestling in 2022. So took care of that. Now let's get to the women. There's one tremendous talent that I think it would be just fantastic for Impact Wrestling, but unfortunately, I think AEW has their claws in her as well. I shouldn't say as well. They have a clause in her right now. I'm talking about Sky Blue. She's 21 years old. What a tremendous talent. She's just so damn good. So much potential there. She's wrestled NWA, numerous matches in AEW Dark. She's the AAW Women's Champion as well, defeating Allison Kay for the title. She's had matches against Deonna Purrazzo. She's just a tremendous talent. She's only 21 years old. I watched a bunch of Sky Blue matches yesterday. Just an outstanding talent. I would love somehow for Impact Wrestling just to sneak in there. And I'm very surprised. She's been on AEW Dark and the NWA. She's not signed to either promotion. I'm very surprised that we haven't seen her on on Impact Wrestling at all. Just like give her like a tryout or something, or bring her in for a couple of matches. I'm surprised we haven't seen it, but if somehow Impact Wrestling could sneak in there and offer her a contract, a 3-year deal, and get her into Impact Wrestling, get her to join the Knockouts division, but the best women's division in professional wrestling. I think it will be another great addition to that women's roster in Impact Wrestling. Man, what can you say? I mean, does she want to go to AEW? I know, I think she was on AEW last night, or she's appearing on AEW tonight, on AEW Dark. But does she want to go there? Does she want to go to AEW? AEW is the cool place right now. But look what happened to Kiara Hogan. Great talent, left Impact Wrestling, and she signed. I don't think she signed an official contract with AEW because she never got the graphic. Kiara Hogan is all elite, but I think they call it a tiered AEW contract, and she's kind of lost in the shuffle there. You don't really see much. You might see her on AEW Dark, but she's kind of lost in the shuffle there. They're not really using her, and she's not the only one. There are other talents that they brought in that's kind of they pushed to the back for now. And does Sky Blue want that to happen to her, or does she want to go to Impact Wrestling and be at the forefront of the women's division to come in and be one of the top or potentially become one of the top stars in that division? I mean, I think she could become a top star in Impact Wrestling a lot faster than she could become a top star in AEW. And they signed her to a 3-year deal. Just think about it. She's 21 years old. They signed her to a 3-year deal. She's done when she's 24. If she wants to move on, she can move on when you think about it. But I would love Impact Wrestling just to sneak in there and pull Sky Blue into Impact Wrestling. And I mean, look what they're signing independent talent lately. Lady Frost, Masha Slamovich were the last two additions to the Knockouts roster. Why not Sky Blue? Why not get Sky Blue? I know Sky Blue went 1-on-1 with Masha Slamovich. I looked for that match last night on YouTube. I couldn't find it. I'm sure it was a tremendous match. I think it was some time ago. But and if they could do something and just entice Sky Blue to sign a 3-year deal with Impact Wrestling, they should try hard. They should try hard because she's got such great potential in her to become a really a superstar of professional wrestling. Then you have another independent star that I think would fit in nicely with Impact Wrestling, Jasmine Allure. Jasmine Allure, another great potentially great talent, I should say. She has definitely all the tools. Also appeared in AEW some time ago, AEW Dark a few times. I don't think she's been on AEW recently. She wrestles for Mission Pro. I watched her actually yesterday against Sky Blue. That's how I saw. That's when I watched the match for Sky Blue, but then I saw Jasmine Allure, and I was like, wow, Jasmine Allure is terrific. Also, she'd be great in Impact Wrestling as well. So that's another indie talent that Impact Wrestling should definitely have their eyes on. Jasmine Allure, great talent. Also, Sandra Moon as well, another great indie talent. Wrestles on the West Coast, West Coast Pro. I mentioned West Coast Pro a lot because it's a great indie promotion. I'm going to plug West Coast Pro right now. If you have IWTV, definitely check out West Coast Pro. It's a great promotion. But she wrestles out there on the West Coast. Actually made her debut. It hasn't been shown yet, but she made her debut for Impact Wrestling recently. I think it's going to be before the Impact match down the road. But she'd be another great addition, another young great addition to Impact Wrestling as well. So Jasmine, Sky Blue, Jasmine Allure, Sandra Moon would be terrific additions. And of course, up here in Canada, Alexia Nicole. What are they waiting for? What are they? I mentioned Aiden Prince. What are they waiting for with Alexia Nicole? Another tremendous talent, Alexia Nicole. She belongs on the Impact Wrestling roster. So Impact Wrestling should be looking at Alexia Nicole as well, to bring her in 2022 to the Impact Wrestling Knockouts roster. She's just another tremendous talent. She belongs on that roster 100%. There's another one up here that belongs on the roster. She's actually wrestling all over in the States, many indie promotions right now. Impact Wrestling should definitely be looking at her. I'm talking about Jody Threat. Jody Threat is another tremendous talent that Impact Wrestling should definitely be looking at. She's just getting better and better and better with each match, and definitely Jody Threat, Alexia Nicole, Jody Threat. Impact Wrestling should definitely be looking at them. Recent releases. I know Mia Yim had expressed interest in returning to Impact Wrestling. We'd love to see her return to Impact Wrestling. And of course, Taya Valkyrie as well. Taya Valkyrie, I think, is a good bet to return to Impact Wrestling as well. Taya Valkyrie will be making a AAA appearance. Probably going to challenge Deonna Purrazzo for the Reina's championship. So Taya Valkyrie, Mia Yim, I would love to see them back at Impact Wrestling. And also recent WWE release, Ember Moon. Ember Moon would be just a great fit. Another great fit to Impact Wrestling. That's definitely another talent Impact Wrestling should be looking to add to their Knockouts roster. I think she would come in right away and could have just tremendous matches with Deonna Purrazzo right off the bat. So definitely Ember Moon is somebody that Impact Wrestling should be definitely looking at to bring in. I don't know if her non-compete has expired yet. She might still be under a non-compete, but we're talking about 2022. We're not talking about today. So I'm sure if once her non-compete is over, or once her non-compete is over, Impact Wrestling should definitely consider making her a contract offer 100%. Also, Willow Nightingale going to be challenging Jordan Grace for the Digital Media Championship very, very soon. I think I forgot the date, but it's coming up for Beyond Wrestling. Actually, December 31st, Beyond Wrestling. So Willow Nightingale, she's already got an endorsement from Deonna Purrazzo on Twitter. So it's another talent that Impact Wrestling should be looking at bringing in, definitely Willow Nightingale. Okay, so tag teams. There are two tag teams that I have on my list here. There's talk of Mike Bennett coming back. I think they should bring Mike Bennett and Matt Taven in as a tag team. I could see them having great matches over the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team titles against the Good Brothers. I can see them coming in, having great matches against the Bullet Club, Chris Bay and Hikuleo, against Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. I think they should bring them in as a tag team. I think the OKZ, I think is what they're called. Forgive me, I'm not haven't been really been following Ring of Honor, so if I got the name wrong, I apologize. But Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, tremendous tag team there, and I think Impact Wrestling should bring them in as a tag team, or at least consider bringing them in as a tag team. And there's another tag team out there on the indie scene that I think is just fantastic, that Impact Wrestling should, without a doubt, be looking at to bring in, because they need to bolster their tag team division. Jarrell Nelson, Royce Isaacs, the West Coast Wrecking Crew, they are just a tremendous tag team, absolutely fantastic tag team. They work so well together, have such great chemistry. I've seen numerous matches. They're a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. I don't know if they're signed to any official deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but Impact Wrestling should definitely think about bringing this just a new, fresh tag team in to bolster their tag team roster. So Jarrell Nelson, Royce Isaacs would be a great addition to the Impact Wrestling tag team division, as would Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. I think Bennett and Matt Taven will come in and win the Impact Wrestling tag team titles almost immediately, and I could see Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs chasing them for the title. It will just be pure magic. Although Nelson and Isaacs are heels right now, so they will probably come in as heels, but we could have a heel versus heel team match, I should say. But I just tremendous. These two tremendous tag teams would definitely add to the Impact Wrestling tag team division. There's also the besties in the world, Matt Fidget and Davey Vega would be great additions as well. I think they're kind of concentrating on singles careers right now. I know they're still tagging occasionally, but I know I think they're kind of concentrating on single careers, but if somehow they could bring them together and bring in the best seeds in the world, that's another great team that would definitely add to the Impact Wrestling Tag Team division. And before I go with the New Japan Pro Wrestling Impact Wrestling partnership that's going on right now, there are two young talents that I think would add absolute fire to Impact Wrestling right now if they brought them in, because we would get nothing, because they have a lot to prove right now as they're on excursion, and I think they will come in and have just fantastic matches against anyone that they put them up against. I'm talking about former Young Lions, Ren Narita and Yuya Uemura from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Josh Alexander recently had a match against Yuya Uemura, which was absolute fire. Ren Narita is just absolutely killing it in every single match that he's in. So they should definitely consider bringing Ren Narita and Yuya Uemura in to Impact Wrestling. I mean, it's not going to be a long term. They're on excursion, but bring them in for a couple of matches. I know Josh Alexander would have a terrific match with Ren Narita. Chris Bay would have a terrific match with Yuya Uemura. Eddie Edwards one-on-one with Ren Narita would be fantastic. A lot of potential there, so they should definitely consider at some point in 2022 before their excursion ends. I know Ren Narita's excursion is going to end probably this year because he's been on excursion a lot longer than Yuya Uemura. Uemura just started his excursion in 2021, but they should definitely bring them in for a few matches because they will deliver each and every time. So Impact Wrestling definitely consider Ren Narita, Yuya Uemura at some point in 2022. All right, so there you go. That's what I have to say about that. So that's what I have to say about talents and free agents that Impact Wrestling should be considering in 2022. Let me know your thoughts. If you have anybody else that you consider Impact Wrestling should be looking at, that you think Impact Wrestling should be looking at, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. And if you're watching for the first time, if you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If that's it, well, that's it then. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Anything breaks, I'll be back later today, of course. But until then, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. And stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye-bye.